Okay, in this video, I'm going to jump straight to the point in this video. I've been having a lot of ideas pop into my head as we've been having discussions down below. And as always, please continue to comment down below. I know I may be asking you weird questions or framing my response in a weird way to the way people usually have conversations. However, I don't know if I covered this in a video, but I have a background in science and research even more specifically. So I think of things as far as having actual fact-based evidence to support whatever it is that I'm saying. So sometimes I know we get into opinions as knife guys, and I had that discussion in the comments a couple videos ago with another guy. But when I put a video together or I'm having a conversation, I try to lay things out in a factual way as possible with evidence that I can show you all. So if I do ask you something, it's nothing. That's just the way I think, and that's just the way I don't think we take into account how we present our opinion in the knife community. I think a lot of times we say things that are opinion, which is fine to have an opinion. Sometimes you're going to hear me say I think or I feel. That's an opinion. However, when we say I think or I feel, that's our opinion, and nobody's opinion can be wrong. So that kind of sets us up in a lose-lose situation, because I can't refute your opinion or dispute, excuse me, your opinion, because it's your opinion. How can I say your opinion is wrong, right or wrong? So that's kind of where that comes from. But as I was having discussions today, someone posted a comment that they bought a knife that is S35VN, like this knife is, this Sebenza, and it's dual titanium scales, I believe the person said. They said it was a third of the price, and I don't remember the person in the comments. However, they felt as though the quality was equal to this knife, and I've never handled a Kaiser knife. The knife was a Kaiser knife, so I can't comment towards the quality or lack thereof of a Kaiser knife. I know they're incredibly popular. Seems like they've come out of nowhere, at least to me, but I don't follow a lot of those knives. Something that I'll definitely have to do a little bit more research into now that I'm putting out videos on my YouTube channel. But what I want to talk about in this video is what we are buying as an overall package. And I know a lot of times, you can see here, I have the knives laid out roughly by price. A lot of times we hear people say, well, what can this knife do over here that my, $10 or $15 buck knife or Browning knife can't do? So I think the things that we don't take into account are all of the entire package, the fit and finish, the level of customer service, the warranties, etc., etc., etc. So in this video, that's kind of what I'm going to kind of discuss with these knives here. And there's a range of these knives. This is not just a representation of every knife. This is what I had available on hand that I could pull out. And again, back to what I was talking about, being able to put my hands on something and actually showing you what I'm talking about. So whenever I present something, I want to present it from an evidence-based standpoint. So I'll start with this knife here. This knife here, I can't speak to the warranty because I looked, excuse me, it's a little small for my hand. I looked on the website before I got on to film this video, and it doesn't appear as though I could find the information for the warranty. The only information I could find was related to their guns. But I'm not gonna make any assumptions. This knife here is representative of what I think a large majority of guys that carry knives will carry. Just a standard basic knife from your local sporting goods store. Good enough to cut whatever you want to cut, pull it out your pocket, lose it, beat on it. If it breaks, you just get another one. You probably, have 2 or 3 laying around. You give them to your kid, give them to your cousin, whoever, just a decent all around knife. However, generally speaking, and I don't want to speak factually because I could not find the information specifically on this brand here, but generally when you're buying in this price range here, you basically have just that, a disposable knife. The warranty is pretty much limited to the original purchaser. The warranty is pretty much limited to manufacturing defects, which means if it didn't come to you broken, whatever happens after that point is totally on you, which I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that's what you get at this price point. And I'm not knocking any of these knives, by the way. I'm just having just the general discussion on what I think we're buying and what I think we don't take into consideration sometimes. So this knife is basically a disposable knife. You buy it, it's $10, $15, $20, $25. If it breaks, if you lose it, if you hand it to your wife and she snaps it in half, you just toss it in the trash and buy another one. 9 times out of 10, if it comes to you broken, which is what the warranty pretty much covers, it covers manufacturer's defects. I guess you could have a screw that loosens up or something like that, but you're going to pay to send it in. You're probably going to pay to send it back in most cases. And by the time you do all of that, I don't think that you're going to do that for a knife that costs you maybe $20, $25 when you figure in the shipping and the time without your knife and all of that stuff. I think most guys are just going to go back to the store and buy another $15, $20, $25 knife. So that's this knife. Couldn't find specific information on this warranty, but on this knife, and this actually, this knife was the knife that got me into knives. I bought this knife. You can see I even have lost the pocket clip at this point, or actually I think the screws might have stripped out or whatever. But anyway, I'm gonna move these knives because I'm losing focus. This knife here was the knife that got me into carrying a knife every day and using a knife every day. And I'll be honest with you, the way I picked this knife, I was in Bass Pro Shop. I was feeling all the knives they had there, couldn't really touch them because they were in packages. This one was the heftiest knife. I do prefer a knife that's hefty, always have, and I bought it. And I think I paid $30 or $35 for it. I don't remember. When I looked this knife up on Amazon, it was like $27.95. Good general beater. Again, a knife that I'm sure lots and lots and lots of you guys might even carry today. I carried this knife. You can tell that I've carried this knife and I've used it. I've beat on it. It's a pretty well used knife. This was one of the first knives I ever sharpened on my Wicked Edge. This knife has been around the block. However, again, at this price point of roughly $30, give or take a few dollars, this knife is going to be in what I consider that disposable category again. You break it, bend it, lose it, snap the blade, lose a screw, whatever. You're probably just gonna run back to the store and buy another one because A, this knife is only warranty to the original owner of the knife. How many of us buy knives on the secondary? Raise my hand. So that means automatically if you bought this knife secondhand or used or whatever was given to you as a gift, I guess technically, you don't even have a warranty to begin with. The second part of the warranty is that this is only warranted against manufacturer's defects as well. So again, if this knife doesn't come to you with some kind of a problem, I doubt that you're going to send it back. And if it did come to you with a problem, you're probably going to just go back to the store and exchange it or return it instead of sending this in. So in my opinion, I would call this more of a disposable knife, a beater knife, something if you break it, bend it, lose it, you're not going to be too concerned. Again, not knocking the knife. Clearly, I carried this knife. I used this knife. This is the knife that got me into knives. It is a little gimmicky with this little funky, I don't remember what they call it, but it's like a safety switch. You can't disengage the liner lock unless you flip that back. So it's a little gimmicky, but you know, it was a flipper. I like that. Decent knife. It works. But again, for $20, $30, you're going to get a knife that basically is a disposable knife. If it breaks or bends or whatever, you're just going to buy another one. So now the next step up from that is going to be something like a Spyderco. Oops, sorry. And this is a sprint run Spyderco. This is the Para 3 in crew wear, but as I'm sure you guys know, there are plenty of these knives in regular S30V steel, black scales, whatever. And this is going to be, you know, right in your $100 range or somewhere around there. This knife does come with some warranty, but the way I understand the warranty is pretty much if you take it apart, they'll take it back and they'll look at it. But if they think that you did something incorrectly, they're not going to warranty the knife. My understanding is if you break a blade, even if you're willing to pay for a new blade, they're not going to give you a new blade. If you have strip screws or anything like that, you have to send it back in for them to replace the screws. Just, this is a step up, but still, this is not just a send it back, we'll take care of you kind of knife at that $100-ish price point. I did have a pair or two when they first came out with camo handle scales, and I don't remember exactly where the crack was at, but it was somewhere up around the pivot, I believe. I got it that way from the factory. When I opened the box up, it was that way. I sent it back in. It cost me shipping to send it to them, and it cost me $5 to get the knife back. I'm pretty certain that's exactly what it is now, if you send a knife in to be repaired. But like I said, they will let you take the knife apart, but it's kind of, if you tear it up, you know, or they think you tear it up, in their opinion, they're not going to warranty the knife. If you have a broken blade or whatever and you want to get it rebladed, even if you're willing to pay for it, they won't do that. My understanding is they will sharpen the knife and they will regrind it, from my understanding, but that's it. So decent warranty, but you can see there's a difference between a $20, $30 knife and, you know, a knife in the $100 ballpark. And actually, I'm using this as a representation, but that's Spyderco's warranty in general, to the best of my knowledge. So a step up from that would be this knife, which is the Emerson knife. And again, I'm using this just as a general representation. And this is a $180, $200 knife. Emersons are known for wearing out liner locks. You send it back in. I don't remember the exact charge. I think they just charge you shipping, and I think it's like $7 or something like that. So you pay $7. They throw a new liner in there for you, which is titanium. I mean, a new locking liner for you, which is titanium, and they mail it back to you for like $7 or whatever. There are options to have the blade changed. Again, you have to pay for that. This, again, is not a knife that you're just going to send it back in, say, hey, it broke, fix it for me, send it back, you know, I'll pay shipping. Anything that you break on this knife, you're going to have to cover out of your pocket, which, again, I'm not knocking. I'm just saying that that's kind of still where you're at in this $180, $200 price range with a company like Emerson. So the next step up from that would be on this end, and now we're getting to the higher end, and this is definitely where you usually hear people saying, why am I paying all that money for a knife? So this knife right here is a Strider S&G, and it is it's pretty much just covered. As long as you don't modify the knife, which, by the way, I should back up. None of the knives are covered under warranty if you've modified them, any of the knives that I've shown on this video. But this knife here, as long as you don't modify it, whatever happens to it, you send it back in, you pay for shipping there. They do prefer UPS or FedEx for you to ship it in, so that's a little bit of an expense. And it's $25 for, you know, whatever happens. You send it in, they send you the knife back. There have been people that have sent knives in with broken blades, they reblade it. There have been people that send knives in because there's vertical play, lock rock. They come back with a new titanium scale. So for $400, you have a knife with Strider that you send in, and as long as you haven't modified it in any way, they're just going to fix it. They're just going to fix it and send it back to you. No questions, no concerns, no whatever. You take it apart, you put it back together, whatever. Now with Strider, if you lose parts or you break it, taking it apart and putting it back together, they will fix it for you, but you have to pay for those parts. But in general, like I said, if you're outside and you have to use it for whatever reason and you chip the tip, you send it in, they'll evaluate it. If it's bad enough, they'll reblade the knife. If it's not, they'll just regrind it. Lock rock, like I said, they usually press in a larger pin here, which changes the angle of the engagement, which makes the lockup earlier and more solid. $25. Sometimes there's a problem. I'm not sure what it is, but I've seen people say that they've had a new titanium scale sent to them or put on the knife, and then the knife sent back to them. Again, $25. You're just getting a lot more service for your $400. And even though it's not the same type of service, you're getting the same thing in this Chris Reeves Sebenza, which again is in that $400 range, right around there. This is a large Sebenza. Sebenzas are known and loved for their spa services. You can have this knife for 20 years, send it in, they'll clean it up, they'll reblast the knife, you know, all that good stuff. You pay shipping, they'll ship it back to you. If you want a new blade, you can buy a new blade. If you want double thumb lugs, you can get double thumb lugs. If you want a different color thumb lug, you can get a different color thumb lug. They'll add for a price with the thumb lug, for a price with the blade. They'll add engraving to the show side scale for a price. Just full service. Just full service. I've never heard of anybody having a problem with a Sebenza, but you know, again, the warranty for just general things, they don't cover if you break a blade, you need to buy a new blade to put on it. But if you have issues where the lock is worn out or something like that, those are all things that they cover. But again, this is what you're getting at that $400 price point. So when we talk about what it is we're buying, you know, when people are like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you spent X amount of dollars for so-and-so knife, you can kind of see here as I laid the knives out and I discussed them, as you increase the knife value, you're also increasing the level of service and what is or is not covered. Now, the question is that worth it to you? You may be fine with the knife on this end of things, that you use it for a year, 6 months, 2 years, whatever, it breaks, the screws get loose or whatever, and you take a big chunk out of the edge, you just throw it away and buy a new one. Or I know a lot of guys, especially with traditional knives, they've got a drawer full of knives that they've either sharpened the blade to death or they've broken the blade, and they just put it in the drawer and put it to the side and they just get another one. So that is all, you know, personal opinion, but you can see here there's a large difference in the level of customer service and what's available under warranty and what's covered under warranty from this side, your $20, $30 side, to this side, your $400 side. So that's what I don't think we take into account a lot of times when we're thinking about knives and what we're buying or what we're not buying, and circling back around to this knife here. If I bought a knife a third the price of this knife, even if it's the same materials, am I getting the same level of customer service if and or when something goes wrong with that knife? So I hope you guys found this informative and entertaining. Please comment below with your thoughts. I enjoy you guys. I appreciate you guys watching the video, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you.